Okay, friends, here we go. The fourth book of the series, The Order of the Unicorn. And so we're going to join Pearl and Ben again on their adventures with Dr. Wu, who is a veterinarian for the imaginary creatures in the imaginary world, but she is living in the known world. We also know that she has a pet dragon named Metalmouth that acts a little bit more like a dog than a dragon. She's got a very odd assistant named Mr. Tabby that helps her at her hospital. And all the people that live in Buttonville, except for Ben and Pearl, know what Dr. Wu really does. Everybody else thinks that she is a veterinarian for worms. So let's find out what adventure they are going on next. Chapter 1, Pancake Sandwich. The first thing many people do after getting out of bed is put on a pair of slippers. The first thing Pearl Petal did on that Friday morning was slip her feet into a pair of leprechaun shoes. Made by a real, living, breathing leprechaun, they fit perfectly around her medium-sized feet. Pink was not her favorite color, but she wasn't about to complain. She had been told by the leprechaun that the shoes did something special, but he hadn't said exactly what. The lack of information was keeping Pearl awake at night, and she found herself doing very strange things in attempt to solve the mystery. The shoes didn't make her fly, that's for sure. She had tried jumping off the kitchen counter and flapping her arms, and she just ended up with a twisted ankle and a scolding from her father. They didn't make her invisible either. She tried sneaking into the kitchen for a late night helping of ice cream. Her mother looked right at her and said, "It's too late for sugar, young lady." And they certainly didn't make Pearl strong. She tried lifting the car, but all she got were some weird looks from the passerbyers. Maybe Cobblestone, the leprechaun, was a big, fat liar. Or in this case, a little fat liar. Maybe the shoes did nothing at all. Even that proved to be true. No one in Buttonville had shoes created by a cobbler from the imaginary world. The fact in itself made Pearl smile. After opening her bedroom window, Pearl stuck her head out to see what the morning might bring. Across the street, a flock of pigeons preened their feathers as they perched on the town hall roof. The scent of sizzling bacon drifted up from the Buttonville diner, and Mr. Wanamaker's keys jingled as he opened his barber shop. The morning sky was cloudless, which made Pearl happy. It was also dragonless, which made Pearl extra happy. No clouds meant no sunshine. No dragons meant no certain secrets would not be revealed. She closed the window and her gaze swept across her bedroom shelves, which she had filled with some of her prized possessions. Her bird nest collection included a blue jays, a robin's, and a hummingbird's nest. But the pigeons was the most beautiful, because pigeons like to decorate with ribbons and bits of plastic and buttons. Pearl's board game collection included Monopoly, Scrabble, and Pony Parade. The goal in Pony Parade was to move a plastic pony from the forest, where it was lost, to its home in the barn. Standing in the way were obstacles, such as slippery banana peels, a pollywog pond, and a swarm of bees. If you landed on the golden square, you got to trade your pony for a plastic unicorn. That was Pearl's favorite part. Although she had outgrown the game, she still longed for a pony. She spent a great deal of time trying to persuade her parents to buy one. She imagined braiding its mane and riding it all around town. When her parents pointed out that they didn't own a barn, Pearl said, "Well, we'll just keep it in the alley." Mr. and Mrs. Petal didn't like that idea. Pearl knelt on the carpet and opened the Pony Parade box. She had hidden 3 very special pieces of paper inside: a certificate of merit in Sasquatch catching, a certificate of merit in curing lonely lake monster, and a certificate of merit of rescuing a rain dragon. Each certificate was signed by Dr. Emerald Wu, a veterinarian for imaginary creatures. Now that she had been working as Dr. Wu's apprentice, something as ordinary as a pony sounded boring. There were so many imaginary creatures that could be kept in an alley. "Pearl, Ben's here," her mom, Susan Petal, called from the kitchen. "Okay, coming," and as fast as she could, Pearl stuffed all their certificates back into the box, put the game on the shelf. She scrambled out of her PJs and into her favorite clothes, a plain, well-worn t-shirt and a pair of shiny red basketball shorts. And then she pulled her blonde hair into a ponytail and hurried into the kitchen. "Hi, Ben." "Hi, Pearl." Ben Silverstein was sitting at the table. Ben had only known Pearl for a week, but he had already become one of her very best friends in the whole wide world. After all, when two people travel together through interdimensional space, climb a face of a rain dragon, and seal up a hole on her head, not to mention stalk a Sasquatch, save a dragon hatchling, and ride in a lake monster's mouth, you can't help but becoming best friends. "So nice of you to stop by," Mrs. Petal said to Ben. She was standing at the kitchen sink, rinsing the coffee pot. "How is your grandfather?" "Oh, he's fine," Ben said, setting a napkin on his lap. "He's doing some stuff at the senior center this morning." "Your grandfather is a very nice man," said Mrs. Petal. She was already wearing her work apron with the embroidered slogan, "You get more at the dollar store." She dried her hands on a dish towel. "You kids eat as many pancakes as you like. I'll be unpacking a shipment from China." And then she walked down the stairs and disappeared into the dollar store, which the Petal family owned and operated. Pearl sat down and grabbed 2 pancakes. She covered one with syrup, laid 4 strips of bacon across it, and then put another pancake on top. Ben watched in wonder as she picked up her creation with both hands. "What?" she said. "You've never made a pancake sandwich?" "It's delicious." He looked around to make sure that nobody would scold him for bad manners, and then with a shrug, Ben set aside his fork and grabbed 2 pancakes. His sandwich had jam in the middle. "So, what kind of creature do you think we're going to meet today?" Pearl asked. This had become one of her very favorite questions to ask. "I don't know," Ben said with a yawn, which was really, not much information at all, and his mouth was getting stuffed with food. "I really hope that we meet a fairy. I really, really, really want to meet one." Pearl dipped her sandwich in more syrup. "What size do you think they are? Do you think they're small like a housefly or big like a bat? Do you think they're pretty? Do you think they can speak our language? Do you—" Her stream of questions came to a stop. She spied something on the table, something that made her blood boil. Chapter 2. Clubs and Crowns. Pearl's blood didn't actually boil. That's just a saying that tells us how angry she got when she saw something. The morning newspaper lay neatly folded in the corner of the table. Staring right at her from the front page was Pearl's arch enemy, Victoria Mulberry. The photo showed Victoria's smiling face. Her braces were looking like railroad tracks. Thick glasses were perched on the end of her nose, and her frizzy hair was pressed beneath a baseball cap embroidered with the words, "Welcome Wagon." It wasn't unusual for Victoria to get her photo in the paper. She was always achieving one thing or another. She had organized a search party when Mr. Mutt's dog went missing. She picked up the garbage in the park after a storm of the century. She even raised money to help the seniors buy pudding for Pudding Day. Those were nice things to do, but Pearl knew the truth. The real person behind those deeds was Victoria's mother, Mrs. Mulberry, who'd made it her life's work to get her daughter's photo in the paper. Pearl dropped her pancake sandwich, reached across the table, and with sticky fingers she unfolded the newspaper and read the following article out loud. "Local girl wins award. The International Welcome Wagon Society has announced that Victoria Mulberry, age 10, is to become the newest member of the Welcome Wagon Club. This is a very important club," Victoria's mother, Martha Mulberry, said. "Only a few people are chosen each year. Victoria is a role model for children everywhere." When asked why she was a role model, Victoria replied, "I don't know," and went back to reading her book. Victoria earned this honor because she gets straight A's and doesn't get into trouble like a certain other girl in our town, Mrs. Mulberry added. The ceremony will be held at 6 p.m. Friday at Town Hall. A representative from the International Welcome Wagon Society will award Victoria with a special crown that is worn only by Red Wagon Club members. The The entire town is invited to watch the ceremony. Cookies and punch will be served. Pearl stared at the page. She doesn't get into trouble like a certain other girl, she repeated. That's so rude. She probably wasn't talking about you, Ben said, and he drank some orange juice. Of course she was talking about me. Pearl had a reputation. She was the town troublemaker, and everyone knew it, even Ben. Why are they giving her a crown? That's crazy. Who even wears a crown? I don't know, princess? Yeah, well, Victoria's no princess. Pearl pushed the newspaper aside and then sat back down in her chair. A bad feeling washed over her, as if gray rain cloud had settled on top of her head. Victoria's probably going to wear that crown all over town. So what if she does? Ben said. Pearl frowned. Ben clearly didn't understand what it was like to grow up in a small town with only a few kids in your grade. When you were labeled a local troublemaker, you couldn't get rid of that title, no matter how hard you tried. Just once it would be nice to see her own name on the front page, not followed by the words mayhem, disaster, or trouble. Pearl, Mrs. Petal called from downstairs. Please take a pancake to your Aunt Gladys before you leave. Okay, Pearl said, and she glanced at the stove clock. Come on, we'd better hurry. We don't want to be late. While Pearl and her parents lived above the dollar store, her great Aunt Gladys lived in an apartment beneath. It wasn't a typical damp, cold basement with spiders and cobwebs and mice. Gladys' place was warm with soft carpet, floral wallpaper, and two well-mannered wiener dogs. The only odd thing was the smell. Ooh, what is that? Ben said, scrunching up his nose. Mentholated ointment, Pearl explained. She rubs it all over because of her arthritis. Aunt Gladys sat in a comfy chair and working with a pair of knitting needles. The joints of her fingers were swollen and knotted. A ball of yarn lay on her lap. Another waited at her feet. In fact, balls of yarn were scattered everywhere, as if it was a yarn factory. A soft click, 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 click arose from her wooden needles. Hi, Aunt Gladys. I brought you your breakfast, Pearl announced, and she pushed some yarn out of the way and set the plate on a TV tray. Thank you, Aunt Gladys said, looking up from her project, which appeared to be a hat. And who is this nice young man? This is my friend Ben, Pearl said. Hello, Ben said, and then he looked around. Wow. Gladys had knitted practically everything in the apartment. The sofa cover, the wall hangings, the pillows, her clothes, her slippers. She'd even covered her eyeglasses in yarn. The two round wiener dogs who were snoozing on the couch each wore matching knitted sweaters. You sure like to knit, Ben said, giving each dog a little pat on the head. I am the queen of knitting, Gladys told him, and then she reached under the chair and pulled out a small silver crown. She plopped it on top of her white curls. Queen of the Knitting Guild was engraved across the front. Isn't it pretty? Yes, Pearl said. It's very pretty, Aunt Gladys. She wondered what Victoria's crown would look like. Aunt Gladys slid her project off her needles, tied a knot, and then snipped the yarn with a pair of scissors. Then she handed it to Ben. A gentleman should always have a nice hat. Thank you, Ben said, and he politely pulled the hat onto his head. Pearl wanted to giggle. The hat did not match Ben's fancy clothes. When she first met him, his sneakers had been brand new, his pants perfectly pressed, and his shirt spotless. He was looking a little bit wrinkled after a few days with his grandfather, but his clothes were still nicer than the stuff she got at the dollar store. We gotta go, Pearl said, and she kissed her great-aunt's forehead. Remember to eat your pancake. Goodbye, Aunt Gladys said with a little wave, and the wiener dogs raised their heads, sniffed, and then went right back to sleep. Pearl led the way up the stairs and through the store where her parents were unpacking boxes. Did you see that article about Victoria? Mrs. Petal said. The ceremony is tonight, Mr. Petal said. Do you think we should all go? Ugh, do we have to go? Pearl asked with a groan. Yes, we do, Mrs. Petal said. It is nice to support our fellow Buttonvillers. If you've done something special, you would want people to support you. But I have done something special, Pearl thought. She glanced at Ben. They had both done tons of special things thanks to Dr. Wu. Unfortunately, no one would ever know. Thanks for breakfast, Ben said just before he and Pearl headed out the door. Have fun at the worm hospital, Mr. Petal called. Pearl smiled, revealing the big gap between her teeth. So, what if Victoria got to be in the Red Wagon Club? Nobody but Ben and Pearl got to work as apprentices in a secret hospital for imaginary creatures. But deep inside, Pearl still thought it would be nice if people in town thought she was more than just a troublemaker. In Chapter 3, Mail Order Worms. Wonder who ordered worms?